Hey there, you wonderful human. Welcome to the video. I do hope you're having a wonderful day so far. My name is Kez, and let's get into it. I'm proper rubbish. I'm proper rubbish at intros. I'll get one day though, genuinely. Stick around to find out. But anyway, I wasn't going to talk about this situation because there is so many people covering this topic already, but I do like to ponder on these things, and I would love to just share a few thoughts with you and kind of just bring this recent drama to light to a few of the people that may not have even heard any of this, because it's kind of one of those, if you're not really involved in at least like the YouTube community, then you probably haven't heard much about it, or at least you haven't heard much about it just yet. It might hit the news at some point, like seriously, it could be one that is that bad. If it all is all proved to be true, and all of the accusations that have recently come out over the last week or two are true, then it genuinely is like that bad. So yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. But we're going to focus on a commentary, drama sort of YouTube channel called CreepShow Art. You may have seen some of the videos about those, actually alright videos in all fairness to her, but it was run by a lass called Shannon with like 500,000 subscribers at least at her peak before her cancellation. Since then that's changed a lot and it's gone down, but we're gonna today try and understand how some anonymous shitposting on a gossip website led to uncovering one of the worst targeted harassment campaigns the internet has like ever seen. How these anonymous posts highlighted a pattern of behaviour, become unanonymous, and led to multiple people coming forward with scathing evidence, along with heartbreaking stories of harassment in the highest degree, in one case for over a decade. So it gets messy quickly. This girl has more faces than Voldemort, more faces than Big Ben, that's for the Brits right there, more faces than a picture of 1,000 faces. That last one was a bit weak, but it's pretty upsetting. I do think it's great that it's being spoke about and that this lady is being exposed, because as I say, if the things are true, then I can only imagine the amount of torment that these people have gone through, and it's like nearly cost people's lives in some cases. So as of writing, the internet has spoken and the verdict is in, and it does not look good for the defence. It's a really wild story, and it was a recent video from a creator from the channel Emily Artful called, well, Emily, that has really made all this hit home for me, as I truly think that this goes far beyond any kind of harassment that we normally see, and is a huge cautionary tale about trust, deception, deceit and betrayal, a lesson in how your actions can catch up with you and how you really need to watch who you make friends with, because even the prettiest people can have the ugliest souls. I'm not going to go into everything. This will be like a broad look at the whole thing and just somewhere to start if you're kind of new to this. I'll leave some links to like some of the other videos that have basically been my sources for this video, and I really would say check those out, because there's some properly concise videos out there that document all of this in a way better way that I'm probably going to ever be able to do. But without further ado, fasten your seatbelts, take a shot of tequila, do a backflip, and let's get right into it. Part 1. Who is CreepShow Art? Okay, so for anybody that doesn't know, CreepShow Art, the channel, is run by a lady called Shannon, and the main focus is usually just talking about like internet drama and giving commentary about like recent online events, creators and other kinds of stuff like that over a video of them drawing something cool. So of course we don't need to know everything about her, but it is worth noting that she comes from a strict home. She has faced personal issues in the past, such as homelessness, and this was all like before her success on YouTube. I mean, it is kind of irrelevant to the story, but I thought I'd throw it in there. Her video style is basically a new iteration of the commentary community, similar sort of videos in their essence, just different visuals. Something that Shannon says that she invented, however, that is a recent point of contention, and we will get to that a little bit later on. But everything was seemingly going good for Shannon. The channel was doing relatively well. She'd gotten in minor controversies over the years, but she was largely seen as a decent creator. She'd made a lot of ties with other really decent creators, with also with large followings, so she was very much part of that circle. I mean, she had pretty much made it, but at what cost? She was mostly seen as a good creator though, and just somebody who had made a few mistakes, but you know, had the proper rags to riches story, and people really liked that, and I don't blame them for that, to be quite honest. But yeah, that's pretty much the channel and Shannon. I guess all the context you would need to know. So moving forward, let's talk about the lolcow posts. Part 2. The lolcow posts. So, the most recent controversy that she has found herself in absolutely crushes all of that, because if this is true, and it's looking like it is really bad, like prison time bad. So, it all started when a website called lolcow.farm, no joke, a website or forum to specifically shit talk other creators, usually off YouTube. It's an anonymous site, as in you are like fully anonymous, like your posts are totally anonymous, which is obviously what makes it alluring to people. But there are obviously some rules to the site, and Shannon's anonymity was revoked because of violations to said rules. She actually doxed her own sister, who was hospitalised at the time, causing the admins of lolcow to basically compile a huge mega thread of around 300 posts and comments that she had left on the site from like 2018 to around 2020 or so. And within these 300 or so posts and comments were some incredibly toxic stuff. And I don't just mean your average like shit posting. She was going hard on people, from friends to fellow creators, all the way to literally having conversations with herself on multiple different accounts, even talking badly about herself at some points. Yeah, it's just madness. There is something derogatory towards just about everyone. Like, if you are human, these posts should offend you. There is literally something for everyone. It's not the first time that the admins of lolcow have done this to people, and I think this is important to note, because in those cases, the people have actually admitted to making the posts, therefore proving that lolcow was right in saying that the person was who they said there was. Now, I'm not an expert in anything tech, and I've never used this website before, but I have been doing a little bit of research into this because I was genuinely curious as how you would actually track somebody on a notoriously anonymous site. Like, you can just go on the website and post, no account details or anything of the sort, so what gives? There has been a big thing about IP addresses, spoofing the IP address, and browser cookies, and these are all something that I know nothing about, but I did want to just cover this part very quickly because I did find it very interesting. And this was a point that was raised by a lady who is a legitimate cybersecurity expert who has worked in identity bridging professionally. Now, identity bridging is the act of identifying somebody via an IP or cookies, basically. The exact thing that the people at lolcow will have had to do to know that Shannon was making these anonymous posts. So, full video in the description. But she gives some really good points about this site, and she did some really good research into it. But in short, the site either knows for sure that it's Shannon because they have done something insanely questionable and borderline illegal to find out for certain, or they don't actually know 100% without a shadow of a doubt sure. They're just like kinda sure because there is lots and lots of circumstantial evidence, but they could be wrong and just did it anyway. So identity bridging is super difficult apparently, because outside of somebody actually admitting it's them who made the posts or something to that effect, there are very few ways that you can actually be 100% certain as to where you could actually prove it in court. So with that being said, I'm by no means defending Shannon. I think it's more than likely her. I just also think it's important to question everybody's morals and methods of operation. Nobody listens to that website or anything that comes from it any other time, and I just don't want it to be like the case of conspiracy theorists hating the government and calling them liars about absolutely everything, but the second that they confirm one of the theories, it's like, aha, there. It's like, where's all that critical thinking gone now? Didn't you just say the governments were liars about like everything? What changed so quickly? So yeah, let's not forget that lolcow's traffic has gone through the roof lately, and this is a big old bit of free advertisement for them, so they are not neutral here. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, Shannon has actually gone on record saying one place the IP points to, identifying it as where she works, and this was a library back in the early days of her YouTube career, and this was said in an interview quite a while back, and she actually says the library by name. Now, I do wonder if the admin said this was a location that the IP pointed to first in their initial post, or if that kind of came out after Shannon was being found like admitting it. Food for thought. But it's not only that though, the post history is compiled like over 2 years, multiple devices and locations, and they're saying that, the IP matches up with Shannon's movements, but I don't know, I'm a little skeptical about this lolcow place. I'm not 100% sure on how like IP addresses or cookies, which is some other web browser thing, work, so I would be kind of like suspicious anyway, but I have listened to people that do know how it works, and the general idea is that like this lolcow thing is true, and it is definitely Shannon from CreepShow art, and outside of that one really technical video that I mentioned that does question the morals and motives of the website, nobody else really has done that. That's not something that I have seen many other videos on this topic do. So yeah, I just think it's important to remain as fair as possible. So yeah, just in the pursuit of doing that I've mentioned that other video. It's also a really interesting video. If you're like me, don't know anything about tech, this lady is clearly very well vetted on the topic, so interesting channel just in general. I would recommend checking that out. Since then, however, Shannon has only spoke about this once, exactly a day after the admins confirmed that it was indeed Shannon in the form of a community post on her YouTube channel, basically where Shannon says it wasn't her and that she was hacked by some ominous stalker that had been torturing her for years and the IP had been spoofed. Now, this will become especially egregious just a little bit later, so keep that bit in mind, the whole stalker story that she's put out there. But yeah, this thing was like a fail, basically. She has publicly stated that she has two-factor authentication on, and I'm sure that is something that YouTube makes you do anyway once you get to a certain point, and making it almost impossible to hack without like having access to multiple devices. I mean, something that only a small percent of the population would even know like how to even go about doing, let alone like do it over multiple years and different locations, like all over different devices, all while spoofing an IP. I mean, I would have actually believed this hacker story was true because I know nothing about this stuff, which is exactly why Shannon thought this story made sense, because she knows nothing about it either. This has been demonstrated by the many people who do know what they're talking about, breaking this down and just effectively telling you just how difficult and near impossible it would be to kind of pull off this story that Shannon is alleging. It's like she knew that they could prove it was her, so saying that it didn't come from her account was like out of the question. She needed a way to explain why it was her account but actually not her behind the account, which is why we always see this hacker thing pop up, and it's just such a terrible lie, because I think anybody and everybody is suspicious as soon as you hear the word hacker, especially if like nothing else has happened in regards to this whole hacker thing. Like, they haven't deleted all of your videos, they haven't blackmailed you, they haven't tried to embezzle money off you or anything, like they've literally shitposted on an anonymous website, a forum that barely anybody uses or listens to anyway. It just doesn't sound believable. But that's just my opinion. Either way, this did start a chain of events that I don't think any casual viewer would have seen coming, because turns out this anonymous, offensive shitposting about people went far deeper than just like an internet troll or somebody blowing off steam because having a bad day. Oh no, this could potentially be something so much more vindictive and maniacal, and it was only after these messages was leaked that a lady came forward with a story, which actually was the whole reason why I even made this video in the first place. So, part 3, the plot thickens. Emily Artful is a successful YouTube channel sitting at around 500,000 subscribers, run by her last called, you guessed it, Emily, and that's of course at the time of writing. I imagine she probably has a few more by the time you might be watching this in the distant future. But she does the exact same thing as Shannon's kind of content on CreepShow art, like, you know, the whole commentary sort of over artwork sort of thing, because Shannon literally copied her, even to the point of copying her titles and thumbnails, and bringing out the same video a couple of days after Emily. This was brought up to Emily at the time, so she respectfully DM'd Shannon, asking her about it, not accusing, really, she was just asking, and to her credit, Shannon politely responded and the two had an interaction, which was fine. This was the first time that Emily and Shannon had ever properly spoke. While that was going on, Emily had noticed a lot of nasty comments and messages from like random accounts online, usually sort of targeting specific aspects and things about her and about her life that really upset her. But it wasn't until she started to see some kind of success when one of her videos just like totally blew up. Her then ex-partner started accusing her of buying views and calling her out online for it. Something she quickly discredited, might I add. It then clicked that it was probably this chap that had been doing all these crazy things due to the the personal nature of the attacks. Like, not many people would have sort of known these things, or at least to consistently have been saying these same things. And this was over the course of like a year or two. But then a few months after Emily had first spoke to Shannon in those DMs that we was talking about the copying of content, did she find out that her allegedly abusive ex-partner was now actually in a relationship with none other than Shannon from CreepShow art. Now, this was obviously a massive shock to her, and as far as I can gather, this was like back in 2018. From that point on, the harassment actually got worse and worse, with threats of releasing allegedly CP in order to publicly shame Emily, ominous threats of violence and all kinds of other crazy stuff almost daily until effectively the jig was up recently. Emily was heavily criticised in the lolcow posts that were made by Shannon, prompting Emily to make a huge 2-hour-long video coming forward that goes into detail about absolutely everything, and it's a very difficult video to sit through. The fear inflicted upon Emily is evident in her voice as she talks. Even now, as she looks back, recounts her story to millions of people that are standing right beside her. That says a lot about the terror forced upon this lady at the hands of at least her abusive ex and Shannon. It's either one or the two, or both of them. But she goes into detail why she knows it was Shannon who took over the harassment, and actually at what point. And I'll just say for clarity's sake that it is very circumstantial evidence, but either way, her ex or Shannon, like, definitely. This part is a really long story, and it happens over like multiple years, so I'm sorry if I didn't do it any justice there. Emily's video will be linked in the description too, but Emily is not the only person that has had these experiences with Shannon, which leads us on to our next part. Part 4. Hopeless Peaches. So, another one of the many people who has seemingly suffered at the hands of Shannon is a lass who runs another YouTube channel called Hopeless Peaches. We will just call her Peaches for today. She was a much smaller creator than Shannon at the time, with I think less than 50,000 subs compared to Shannon's nearly like 500,000. And in a nutshell, Shannon and Peaches were at one point friends, then the friendship soured for whatever reason, probably because Shannon was being toxic, what led to Shannon and at least one other creator making a video covering Peaches, calling her out essentially, riddled with lies and misinformation that was all swiftly debunked at the time, but due to Shannon having a way larger reach and influence, Peaches was swimming upstream and her efforts were mostly futile. As this was before all this come out about Shannon, and of course she was a respected creator, so people took her word for it, causing a swash of hate to be sent towards Peaches that had a significant impact on her mental health. So what makes this like super sinister in my opinion is some of the posts on the So what makes this so sinister, in my opinion at least, is some of the posts on the lolcow forum that was linked back to Shannon featured Peaches in a very distasteful manner, but this was months before the public drama and when, at the time, Shannon was publicly calling Peaches a little sister. It was like Shannon knew that this whole drama thing was coming for a while, so indicated that she was at least being super two-faced whilst friends with Peaches, or at worst, she was literally out there trying to rally up a hate mob months before her video dropped, with allegations that weren't even true. Some speculate Shannon fabricated this drama solely for views, picking on a significantly smaller creator, as to have a huge power imbalance, making it easier for her to make up things, and also a lot easier to befriend her in the first place. The methodic, surgical, intense manipulation is off the charts. If this were to be true, then it is actually scary. Peaches, much like Emily, has found herself with much more support than she did before in regards to the matter, and is now finally being heard and is able to actually get her side of the story out, so that's really cool. But that will then lead us on to Part 5, the conclusion. A main point of contention is how she crafted her online image compared to the image that would indicate the person behind the messages that had been uncovered, and then all of the stories that were coming out. It's just such a huge punch of hypocrisy, and it feels like she has been manipulating her audience for years to a lot of people as they now go back and look through her content. This girl, Shannon, has been calling people out for being racist simply for disagreeing with somebody of colour, called somebody sexist for not swearing in front of her, and all kinds of other madness, so it really is pretty wild. Shannon still hasn't addressed any of this, and it's not clear if she will do, but with everything that is coming out about her now, it's really not looking good, and a lot of evidence does seem to point towards her being guilty of some really bad stuff. As of writing this, Shannon is bleeding subs every day and has still radio silent, leaving people to just speculate, which is never a good idea. But at this point, I'm not even sure she could even say anything to save herself. Like, even if it was like hard factual evidence, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for all the things that have come out now, I just don't know. And this is honestly just a portion of what is going on. So if you are interested in this, I highly recommend just watching some of the videos that are be in the description and keeping a close eye on it. Maybe Shannon will reply, maybe she'll come out with a response, maybe she will debunk this whole thing and it'll be like the biggest switch up in YouTube drama history. Who knows? Keep your eyes on it. Anyway, I hope that gives you a little rundown. I hope you enjoyed the footage there. There's some incredibly random footage that have all been taken, I guess like before live streams or when live streams have not been working or whatever because of signal. So if any of this looks good, then drop us a follow. We live stream every single day. You can get to see us doing random shit like visiting Tropical World like on screen now in real life, and come and have a chat with us in real life. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. But thank you so much for watching till the end. You're in the secret club now. If you didn't know, you're in the secret club that only the people that watch the video all the way to the end are in. We're the cool kids. So yeah, appreciate that a lot. Appreciate that a lot. If you do feel like you want to see some more content like this in the future, maybe, then drop us a subscribe, drop us a like, all that YouTuber stuff, blah 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 blah, selling my soul to the devil, all that kind of stuff, sign on the dotted line. But stay awesome out there, look after yourselves and look after each other. I have been Kez, at least I think so, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!